It's cozy, it's warm, it's a place that you always long to be at. But let's be honest, nothing ever grows there. Nothing ever grows where there is no struggle a bit, there is no overcoming of some sort that happens. And that's the purpose of this live video that we're doing today. If you're watching for the first time, my name is Tefra. I speak all things, what do you call this? I speak all things motivational, God and Bible related topics that we speak about. And day by day, we come out here and we have our sessions. So if you're watching this for the first time, you're at the right place at the right time. Thank you so much for tuning in. I want to speak about examples, a few of them in the Bible that we come across that have lived before us. And those examples will be the examples that will then allow us to dive into the topic of the day, comfort zone. Comfort zone. Let me type that down. Right. Okay, I'm just gonna place the camera right here. Right there. I'm trying to place it somewhere where we can just talk. Okay, I'll place it there. I think it's okay there. So the comfort zone is basically the thing that has destroyed a lot of people. I'm gonna give you a few examples that we have that have indeed been destroyers of people's lives. You see, David was a warrior, and him being a warrior allowed for him to go out and fight. Whenever he was fighting, he was conquering. Whenever he was conquering, he became better and better at and mastering the things that he had to do. Up and until the point where one morning he decided, I'm not gonna go to battle. And when he decided, I'm not gonna go to battle, I'm gonna stay behind and I'm tired. I've been winning for a long time. And it was during this time that the greatest of fighters, the man after God's heart, actually, went down the drain in temptation, because we see and we hear the Bible say that you know, he had this thing called, whenever he was alone there, he didn't go to battle. And when he didn't go to battle, he was in his comfort zone, you know. Hi, Danny. Hi, Danny. Hi, Savan. Hi, guys. How you doing? Thank you for tuning in, man. We are talking all things comfort zone, how comfort zones have been destroying a lot of people's lives. And we've already given the example of the fact that nothing ever grows in a cozy environment of a comfort zone. Thank you, Johnny. I'll keep it up, man. Thank you so much for that. Your comfort zone is cozy, it's warm, it's a place you always long to be at. But to be honest, what's up, Janda? What's up, man? How's it going over there? To be honest, in that comfort zone, nothing ever grows there. Nothing ever grows there. You might be feeling like you are enjoying yourself at that particular moment, but if you really are looking forward for growth, for self-development, for change in your life, you need to get out of your comfort zone. Because if you stay there, you will be exactly that. Your life will also stay stagnant. You'll be exactly at the point where you are for a very long time. So that's the principle that we're talking about when we're saying, look, man, nothing ever grows there. There's a lot of examples in the we've already looked at the example of David. David was a man after God's heart. He was a warrior and he was conquering every time when he went out. He then made, he became very good at fighting and he came back with victories. But a man who was good at these victories decided one day when there was a battle, he said, no, man, I'm not going to go out there. I'm just going to chill a bit. I'm tired. I've been winning for a long time. He decided to choose comfort zone over battle. And this is what then happened. Those that went to battle actually went to fight. But when he was at home, he then became bored. And that is when temptation came his way. So comfort zones are good breeding ground for temptations. An idle mind is basically, the devil's workshop. That's what they say. And so whenever you have a lot of free time, you're chilling, you're at a cozy place, that is when you start to think about bad ideas. Bad ideas just generally come to someone who is in their comfort zone. So David being there, he then went ahead and went to his rooftop, and that is when he saw the wife bathing. And the moment he saw that wife bathing is the moment he then called out to that wife, and we all know the story. He then committed adultery with his wife. Had not David been, had, had he not stayed behind, or had he gone to battle together with the rest of the soldiers, there was not going to be ground or room for him to sin against God in this manner. But because he was in his comfort zone, because he had stayed behind to choose ease over battle, that was the time when, you know, the devil came and he was overcome. I want to speak to you today. Maybe you also have a decision to make, man. Today, you either go out into the garden and do gardening or chill in your couch. Those are two decisions you can make, man. And it's easy to just put, the remote there and have Netflix all day. The moment you chill all day, the moment you choose comfort over battle, you are placing yourself in positions which are not going to give you the great results that you really need. And that then becomes the particular thing that you need to overcome. Like David, you need to overcome the choice of taking it easy over doing anything else. So that is what David would have gone through. Now, we have a lot of examples from the scriptures. I may go on. Joseph is a bit different for Joseph, because Joseph overcame one thing, but he overcame because of this. Look at this scenario. Joseph was loved by his father, and Joseph being loved by his father was basically, the favorite of the sons. And you may imagine this in him being loved by his father. He then became, it was his comfort zone. The love of his father being there, that was his comfort zone. Was where he was. He didn't work much. He was, he had that cut which his father made for him, and it became easy for him to, just take it off, and that was his comfort zone. But remember, the destination that Joseph was supposed to be a prime minister, and him being supposed to be a prime minister of Egypt, he could never become a prime minister of Egypt while he was in his father's tent, because in his father's tent he was not going to overcome Potiphar's wife. In his father's tent, he was not going to understand the lessons of judgment in prison. In his father's tent, he was not going to see how injustice is working for foreigners in the land of Egypt. In his father's tent, he was in his most perfect comfort zone. So him being in his most comfort zone basically meant that he was not going to, he was not going to do anything as long as he was in his comfort zone in his father's tent. So what did God do? God allowed that he was taken away from his father's tent, and he was taken to Egypt to become a slave there. From a being loved son to becoming a slave in Egypt. That was necessary for Joseph to become, for Joseph to actually achieve the leadership role which was meant to become. There in Egypt, he was no longer in his comfort zone. He was in his most difficult zone, because he was faced with the temptation of Potiphar's wife, and him being innocent didn't matter. They threw him in prison for that, and he had to endure prison even when he was supposed to. So all those things were not gonna
Ganjai.
happen.
Mara Ganjai.
Okay.